Can I have all the aldermen for committee of the whole, please? Aldermen, I need everybody seated. Okay, roll call, please, Madam Clerk. I'm sorry.
Alderman Felix. Alderman Newsom.
Present.
Alderman Turner.
Oh.
Alderman Donnerworth.
Present.
Alderman Florian.
Present.
Alderman Hayes.
Present.
Alderman Bolton.
Present.
Alderman Guzman.
Present.
Alderman Martinez.
Present.
Mayor Taylor.
Present.
Alderman Taylor, what's your name? Alderman Turner, one more time.
Alderman Turner, can we have you to the front, please?
Alderman Felix? Well, you have a quorum, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, can I have, we're calling the meeting
6:38.
6:38. Can I have a first and a second to approve the committee of the whole minutes from the October 21st, 2024 meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Florian was first, second was, I heard Martinez, is that it? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I don't have everybody though, so it has to be a roll, voice, right? For the minutes? Yeah, if some are missing? Okay, okay. Any objections? Okay. Anybody from audience who wants to speak on this committee? Okay, so we're going to do a further allocation of the RAP money. So last time we talked about the RAP money, which is the revenue allocation plan, which is money from the casinos and from the cannabis. Can I have a motion to seat Alderman Felix and Alderman Turner?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So I've asked you guys to go back and talk to staff and any, getting any suggestions that you had. And Alderman Guzman did talk and meet with staff. And his suggestion was that we talk a little bit about setting up to sell water, which is something we are kind of in the process of doing, but will need to take years. We're not there yet, but looking towards that is something that's very important. Corporate Counsel, would you like to go ahead and talk about this briefly?
I'll give a quick introduction, and I believe that it's not that presentation. We need the one that starts off with water distribution system expansion, and it has the 4 tiles on it. So while we're pulling that up, as the mayor said, the city is getting excess revenues from both the casino, which to date, and this may be a little bit out of date, we've received about $9.8 million between rent and also gaming taxes, which include admissions taxes and wagering taxes, and cannabis revenue to date, which comes from both state and local taxes, of approximately $500,000. So we're talking, and this was back in September, at about $10.3 million. We do expect this money to continue to accrue and over the next 10 years. But the question is what to do with this money. And the mayor had put forth a plan which included setting up a risk management fund, which would basically allow the city to address the fact that it needs to more or less self-insure for a lot of large liability claims. The city has a history of large liability claims in not only the city of Waukegan, but a number of other communities of our size are finding it increasingly difficult to get insurance policies that do not have extremely high self-insured limits. In other words, our deductibles for most claims now are over $1 million. So like other cities of our size, we're going to need to continue to build up reserves so we can effectively self-insure for that level of risk going forward. In addition, and Bob, what was the recommendation for the self-insured for this first year?
Putting half of the money away.
Half the money. Okay, so it would be about $5 million was the mayor's recommendation. Sorry, Mayor, I could have asked you that.
Yeah.
And then the mayor and staff had also put forth a recommendation to take the other half of the money, a little bit more than $5 million, and begin infrastructure improvements, kind of comprehensive infrastructure improvements in downtown, which would include water, sewer, sanitary, streetscaping, and basically make kind of prime the downtown for further development. That was the mayor's opening proposal. There was a lot of other discussion from the aldermen, and as you may recall, back in June of 2023, there was a very large presentation of many, many different options that staff presented with what to do with this money. Alderman Guzman had asked to discuss with staff the possibility of accelerating or focusing on certain improvements that would expand and strengthen the city's water distribution system for the purpose of selling water to neighboring communities. And with that, Mayor, I defer to you as chair, and I don't know if Alderman Guzman would like to speak, but we also have a presentation from staff that was in response to Alderman Guzman's proposal.
So I do want to say that when I proposed about doing some of the things downtown, this is also part of water as well, because some of our water mains need to be attended to, which is part of our infrastructure in older parts of our city that need to be attended to before we can actually sell water, because some of our mains are just in bad shape. So this is, in a sense, you know, I was saying when we fix some of this, we repair the road and we go section by section. But it is kind of also included, like I said, it's not just resurfacing roads. You've got to get to the infrastructure, which includes water. So I think we're going to go ahead and do the presentation. And that shows some of the things do you have that? Or, okay.
Mayor, may I
On the
ask a
screen.
question real quick before you move on? Thank you for how you've elaborated. But I was under the understanding we're already selling water. Can you elaborate on that just a little bit?
Small communities,
Small.
local. But we don't have the ability to sell out west. And some of the things that need to happen is we need to have a water tower, which is millions of dollars, and then we also have to have the infrastructure to be able to add on to our infrastructure to get those lines going.
Thank you.
Antonio, do you want to expand on that at all?
Good evening. Yes, so in 2018, they hired CMT, 2019, they hired CMT Engineering Company to do a water model, and I provided the amount, it's close to $35 million to Alderman Guzman for all the improvements that need to be made in our water main distribution system, and that includes installing a water tower, an elevated storage tank out west, and also replacing water mains that are really old, and also water plant improvements also. And that's looking like 5 to 10 years to get all that done. We're still doing projects now at the water treatment plant that still are like 2 years away before they're done.
Now, I'm going to throw a question out that the residents are going to want to know, but it's obvious to us, but not to residents, is we're tearing down one water tower, and yet we're looking at building another one.
Correct.
You want to explain why we tore this one down and how many gallons it holds compared to what we need it to be?
So that was a really old tank on Keller Avenue, concrete, and it was just storage on the top. It was basically empty inside, so it only had about 150,000 gallons. And that was taken out of service in 1971. And that's when the beech nut water storage tank, which holds 3 million gallons now, is in service. And we also have to still empty those storage tanks, clean them and paint them. And that's another year to 2 years before we get to the other storage tanks. We have 2 other ones that need improvements. So we have a lot of work to do before we sell water out of this.
So do you have questions about water tank storage? Alderman Guzman, then Alderman Turner.
Okay, since I brought this up, here's how I was speaking to the water plant and Jesus, the engineer. I was starting up with, if you want to give out the presentation, how we spoke about it, the initial and the yearly, and work on the steps how we were speaking about.
Yes, good evening, Council. So if we can go through the slides, I'll be brief on the slides, and we'll get to the last one. So the slides that you see right now were previously presented at the original RAP, which account to what Antonio allotted to right now, which is the system replacement. So we're continuing the process. We have 5 projects right now on the line that are finalizing to be budgeted for next year. Those are around $10 million, and we have high priorities per that model, 15 million. We have also another 10, and then another 15 for lower projects, but it all encompasses resiliency to the distribution system. If we can keep going. Again, also, the other task is to repair ongoing water main breaks, which again, Antonio and I have been working together, and also with Public Works to ensure that we are hitting the areas that are we can do dig one policy. So it's an ongoing coordination process. If we can keep going with the slides. This was the other the last slides that you saw, the original RAP, which it's allocated $10 million for future water main extensions. We have potential growth within the city near Crescent Avenue and Green Bay Road, but also some westward expansion, which I will emphasize more in the next slides. Can you please move to the next one? And then again, not again, but water main extensions, so targeted areas. Like I mentioned, the areas you see here are starting to cover part of our economic growth and system resiliency, which would include looping the distribution system. Our companion specifications does call for a grid iron system. We discourage any dead ends. As the city grows, sometimes that it's not possible to counteract, so part of our efforts are to ensure that we have the grid iron system. What does that mean? We just have loops to make the system resilient, provides enough pressure for firefighting purposes and to residents and commercial businesses. Next slide, please. Another area of focus here will be the water main extension. This is what we call the northwestward expansion. The limits here are Waukegan, Wadsworth, New Gurnee. Some of the challenges here you can see are railroad permitting, FEMA permitting, IDNR permitting, Lake County SMC permitting, probably U.S. Army Corps permitting. So we do require a subject matter expert to help us advance these efforts in a timely manner. Next slide, please. Similar here, we have received a lot of calls about potential development on this side of the city, which is located near the Forest Preserve, and it's expanding the system, again, westward in the southern area. As we sit with the developers, they do struggle to find communities that do sell water to these locations. As you can see here, again, it's the permitting process. There's a lot of entities that we have to coordinate with. Some of them may include IDOT, some of them may include Lake County SMC, in addition to the ones I previously mentioned. Final slide, please. And this is the slide that Alderman Guzman, along with Finance, Antonio, we sat down, we walked through it. Some of the ongoing projects, I want to emphasize that these are substantial projects that do cost, that are a significant amount and require a lot of planning prior to implementation. What Antonio stated earlier, HR Green was consulted back in 2017 to kind of kickstart off what we need from the next step. 2018, CMT was awarded the contract for the water model. 2023, the model was given to us after review by the city, and that identified those projects. So it does take time. As you can see, task 1 is the source, supply, storage, and water main improvements. It includes a lot of all of the projects that are in the water model. It includes projects that Antonio is working on the water plant, and for the storage as well. Task 2 is going to the state of good repair, which is the ongoing water main breaks. We want to minimize the water loss throughout the city. And then the third task is to do the water main expansion, which we plan to allocate $2 million per year, and then $1 million every year afterward, so we can kickstart these projects. As you can see in the second paragraph, it requires a lot of permitting with a lot of different agencies. So we want to make sure we kickstart these projects off in the correct way, ensuring that we have those permits throughout the lifetime of the project and push those projects through. There's also, within the water model, there was a siting tank study that was recommended to either do an elevated tank at $7 million, which does not include land acquisition and water main extension, or also a ground storage tank. So it all depends on the location and what capacity we need.
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
Okay, as Jesus was saying, we're looking into kicking off this program with $2 million and do the assessment and going where it needs to be, and $1 million for the next 10 years. Okay, so every year it would receive $1 million. By that time, we'll be negotiating with hopefully other cities to connect in, and that money would keep paying for expansions and renewals. And basically, the process would be, what I'm looking to do is 80-20. So 80% onto future expansion, and then 20% would go back to the water plant to keep up with any other improvements that need to be done to the water plant. So the water plant will never be neglected again, as it used to do with the previous administrations. This administration has done great work on fixing a lot of the issues that have arose with the water plant. So 80% keep moving would be reinvested back into getting everything moving forward. And I mean, we got great source here. We got water that would give us revenue for the next 50, 100, 200, or whatever, how long we keep up with it, and the future aldermen and mayors would like to move on with. But it is a huge, huge opportunity. And for $2 million startup plus $1 million for 10 years and negotiations with other cities to connect and move forward, it's a great opportunity for the city to jump on this, because we've actually very lagged on this water opportunity that could have been done years and years ago, and be a true player into this water game.
Lorian?
Thank you, ma'am. So, Jesus, thank you for that explanation. I'm curious what kind of timeline you think. I mean, are we talking years, decades? I mean,
Well, we don't want to hit decades, but we have to start off with years. The first step would be to hire the subject matter expert. So we'll do a professional service agreement. We'll go out for bid, get the expert here so they can tell us exactly what we need to do to kickstart those efforts. Within that part of PSA, we'll also have allocation to start the first 2 projects. That way, we're not just sitting here at design, we're actually doing the actual work. One of the items that I talked to Antonio and the city can start doing also is design bid build. So we can put a comprehensive package. We're working with L. Rod Freeman to provide those documents to us. That way we can have one contract for the foreseeable future for maybe about 3 or 4 years. This way we can lock in the price that's now. We can lock in that design and also start doing those construction projects as soon as possible.
okay, great. And then you mentioned in your presentation, developers come to you asking for this.
Yes.
So what's their skin in the game? Like, when do we ask them to help pay for some of this? Because this is something they're looking for, right? And on that same subject then, you know, some of these communities have wells, and is it a problem now to get a well? I don't even know. I've never had a well. So is it harder? I've heard something about our water table has gone down or whatever, so I'm just curious about that.
So the wells right now, you know, it's either you don't have water main in front of you, how to get the well. That's Lake County. We don't permit wells, so I can't really answer that question. But for example, septic tanks have become an issue with adjacent municipalities that are unincorporated. The county has more strict guidelines to it. So we do also have residents that are calling us to tie into our sewer main as well. And part of this also will include looking at the sewer, because we can't have, particularly in residential areas, water without sewer. When you get your bills, you actually pay for both water and sewer combined. So to answer your question, for the wells, I really don't have an answer for you, but historically, the wells have dropped and the water table has become lower. We do have, sitting with the development team, with Noel and her team, when residents, developers come along, they are starting to see more of the issues happening from the community coming to the city.
Thank you. And then Alderman Guzman, for you, so you're proposing taking 2 million out of the initial pot. So is that $1 million out of each half?
No, it's $2 million out of the 10 million right now.
Right, but
So that would-
we've talked about putting half of it towards our future needs for settlement claims, whatever you want to call it, and
Talking about out of the 5 million that was remaining. It's not out of the risk fund. He's just talking about the 5 million.
well, but the other half we were going to put towards developing, creating better infrastructure in downtown. So if you take 2 million out, are you taking 1 million out of each one, or 2 million out of the downtown project?
2 million out of the downtown
Well,
project.
Well, I was going to amend the whole thing, so that's a second conversation on that one. But on the whole allocation, but this is the primary. So I'm also looking for is to get a supermajority on whatever is voted on here cannot be undone within the next year or 4 or 10. So anything that gets voted on through this revenue allocation, it's going to be very difficult to undo once it's done.
Right.
That's what I'm looking for also. Jesus, can you explain on that also?
Yeah, I'd like to have a turn too. We've been at
Then let
20
Alderman
minutes on
Turner
one
go, and
subject.
then we're going to dismiss because it's already 7. So
All
go
right,
ahead.
Thank you. So, what I propose is, excuse me, and I do understand that we need to have some money in on hold for risk management department. What I would suggest is we take the other 5 million. So let's split it 50-55 over to risk management and 5 to be spent on infrastructure. What I would propose, and I'm not in favor of using any significant amounts of money specific to Genesee Street. It costs between $50,000 and $200,000 to resurface a block of resurface a block of our roads, right? If we use the high end, $200,000 into 5 million works out to 25 blocks. So we can resurface at the high end 25 blocks of our streets in our neighborhoods. And I'm going to say this, and I'm not taking digs at any of you guys, okay, Lynn? So, but we know that the 7th ward or the 8th ward, the 9th ward, parts of the 9th ward, and parts of the 7th ward don't really need a lot of road maintenance at this point. So I think we could really have a significant impact on upgrading our streets, as well as, and again, I said that's at the $200 maximum spend on per block, right? So maybe we're doing 30 or 40 streets. Also, a piece of that could be cut out to expand on our traffic calming program that I'm hoping that we will move forward in significant capacity next year. So we can really make a impact where we can have a positive effect on an issue that most immediately impacts and directly impacts a vast number of people, residents and visitors traveling through Waukegan. That would be my suggestion. Thank you.
Okay, so before we close, I'm going to say one thing, is I think if you're going to say, well, this ward is going to get more money for this than this ward for road.
Yeah, that's certainly not what I intended to say, if it came across that way. What I'm saying is that there are wards, whichever ward you want to name, you pick it. There are some wards that the roads are in much better condition than other wards, so maybe those wards don't need as many blocks of road work done. That's all I meant. I didn't mean to take a dig, and that's what I
Yeah,
started
I mean,
off, so.
it needs to be divided because every ward has their thing. But at this point, you guys have all been presented enough information, and I think you need to go back and figure out exactly what plan, because we can discuss this and we're blue in the face. But every time we have this meeting, something else comes up. So you guys need to sort out among yourselves what it is that you think is a concrete plan so that we can start putting some kind of action into place. But this discussion every time and new things added and new things taken away isn't going to get us anywhere. I'm going to quickly answer 2 questions, and then we're already past 7 o'clock, so please make them quick. Alderman Bolton.
Yes, Mayor, I know previously it was discussed that some of the monies also would go towards strengthening our social services. So I remember one time you had mentioned that, so I just want to reiterate that, yes, some of the money.
We didn't say that it would. We said it is a possibility.
A possibility or suggestion.
Yeah,
Thank you so
and
much.
the thing that, I want to always emphasize is we do not want to put money in the same places that other people are putting it. Same thing when we get grants for things. We don't want to duplicate. We want to use that money in another format. So for the city to get grants for social services actually would hurt our not-for-profits being able to get those same grants. So we want to be a little careful on some of that.
Thank you.
Alderman Felix?
Yes, I just wanted to kind of recap. I do think that we're getting close. I mean, I think the half of it should go to risk. I think we're all agreeing to that. And the $2 million to kickstart the water program, I mean, I think that'd be, thinking long-term, that's a really good option. So, I mean, just, for all of us to think about is that we still have another, $3 million on what to do. So that's kind of where we should, I think, move towards our discussion for the next time.
Okay, with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
I second.
Okay, Alderman Martinez, second was Alderman Bolton. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, we're going to come back in 5 minutes.